Thank you. Sánchez received in Moncloa the person who paid 1.2 million euros to Zapatero just 3 weeks before the Plus Ultra case broke out. We have evidence. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another edition of Medidas Cautelares with Miguel Angel Perez. And pay attention because today we have exclusive information originating from Medidas Cautelares with Miguel Angel Perez and Libertad Digital. And pay attention, it reveals a link, a connection between the Plus Ultra case and Pedro Sánchez. We're going to tell you everything because we also have evidence. We have a photograph since they love talking about evidence all day long, like parrots in the government and in the Socialist Party. There's no evidence, there's no evidence. They've been caught by the UDF, the UCO from all sides, and they keep saying there's no evidence, there's no evidence. Well, there is evidence, there is evidence. We have evidence of that connection, so stay until the end of the video because I know you're going to like it. But first, don't forget to subscribe to the Medidas Cautelares channel with Miguel Angel Perez. We're about to reach 130,000 subscribers. We just need one last little push and we're heading straight toward our goal of 150,000 better every day. And now let's share the information and the photo on screen. Right now you can see the photo there. First, we're going to share the information and then you'll be able to understand the photo. For now, you have Pedro Sánchez there in the center of the image on the steps of La Moncloa. You'll understand everything, but let's review the information first, then the photo. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez received at La Moncloa the person who paid 1.2 million euros to former President José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero 3 weeks before the Plus Ultra case broke out. This is Daniel Romero Abreu Kaup, president of the think tank related to China called Gate Center. The head of the Central Investigative Court No. 4 of the National Court, José Luis Calama, records up to 1.2 million in his indictment order against Zapatero. That the Gate Center and its president, Daniel Romero Abreu, transferred money to the former socialist prime minister and to his daughter's company, What the Fab. The Gate Center, says Calama in his order, would have sent 352,980 euros to José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero and 171,727 euros to What the Fab, companies of the Thinking Heads Group linked to Daniel Romero Abreu Kaup, which would have sent 681,318 euros to José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero and 12,297 euros to Guade 681. 21,318 euros to José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero and 12,297 euros to José. That is to say, Calama points directly to the Gate Center, which is chaired by Daniel Romero Abreu Kaup, but also to other companies of the Thinking Heads Group, which is also linked to Daniel Romero Abreu Kaup himself. They had sent a total of 1.2 million euros to Zapatero and to his daughter's company. Well, let's see. Pedro Sánchez received the president of the Gate Center, this man, Daniel Romero Abreu, on November 19, 2025 at La Moncloa. 3 weeks later, the Plus Ultra case broke out, and the Economic and Fiscal Crime Unit of the National Police, UDEF. They raided the airline's headquarters and arrested its president, Julio Martínez Sola, the company's CEO, Roberto Rosselli, and the businessman who is a friend of Zapatero, and also the famous Julio Martínez, known as Julito. The three were released subject to court-imposed restrictions after testifying before Madrid's Investigative Court No. 15, which was handling the investigation. Later, as you know, the case was referred to the National Court and assigned to Judge Calama. Well, during their meeting at La Moncloa, the Prime Minister honored Romero Abreu's wife, whose name is Beatriz Magro, and her business partner Nuria Morales, both founders of the Spanish company Convida. This company produces 100% natural and organic kombucha by hand in Fregenal de la Sierra, Extremadura. Kombucha is a fermented, refreshing, and slightly effervescent drink that originated in Asia. The Prime Minister presented the order of Alfonso X the Wise with a plaque to the founders of Convida and even had his picture taken with the president of Gate Center on the steps of La Moncloa. This company, Convida, has experienced spectacular growth in sales and revenue in recent years, since its creation in 2017. Daniel Romero Abreu himself became the first investor in Convida. In fact, he registered the company in his own name and was the sole director for more than a year, from March 2017 to May 2018. Beatriz Magro and Nuria Morales were founding partners who contributed capital, but their names did not appear in the official commercial registry bulletin until May 2018. Magro was appointed president, and her husband Romero Abreu joined the board of directors along with Nuria Morales. And now let's take a look at the photo that helps explain this story. Here is Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez welcoming Daniel Romero on the steps of La Moncloa. Romero Abreu, who is the president of the Gates Center and the founder of the company Convida, his wife, his other partner, and we understand that this must also be her partner. And here you have him in the front row. What a coincidence, right? What a coincidence, you might say. What a coincidence that Pedro Sánchez always ends up surrounded by businessmen, by people who somehow end up being involved in some corruption case. And here you have this man, and honestly, this photograph is very important. Because, as I was saying, it's Daniel Romero Abreu, and indeed, Daniel Romero Abreu is the president of the Gates Center. This lobby is linked, related to China. Zapatero was the president of the advisory council, and Daniel Romero Abreu is also the founder of the company. And here is his wife, who was awarded that honor by Pedro Sánchez 3 weeks before the Plus Ultra case broke out. 3 weeks before. Hey, what a coincidence. Don't tell me these aren't all coincidences. 3 weeks before the Plus Ultra case, it seems that this guy meets with Pedro Sánchez, with this man at La Moncloa. Coincidentally, the company that gave his wife the award was also founded by him, coincidentally. This man is the president of the Gates Center, which is being investigated by Judge Calama in the Plus Ultra case for paying 1.2 million to Zapatero and his daughters through his company. What the fab? Hey, what a coincidence. All the businessmen close to Pedro Sánchez and his wife always end up implicated in one thing or another, right? No, don't tell me that's not a coincidence. And let's just go over exactly what the Gates Center is, because it's a lobby, a think tank. There's been a lot of talk about it in the last few hours, right after Zapatero was charged and he was implicated in the Plus Ultra case. Well, according to the description on its website, the Gates Center, chaired by Daniel Romero Abreu, is a project by 3 Spanish entrepreneurs whose goal is to analyze cases. The most significant global changes that will shape the 21st century. Daniel Romero Abreu, Tomás Ferradas, and Eduardo Fernández are driving this think tank with the purpose of helping to understand global trends and those of emerging countries in the economy, social changes, technology, and their impact on the international political order. The 3 founders want this entity to become an open space for meeting and dialogue, thus promoting the values of cooperation, peace, and progress. Gates Center is organized into 3 broad areas of research: economic and technological, social and geopolitical, and institutional. The entity shares its analysis in Spanish, English, and Chinese. Gates Center is managed by Thinking Heads, a company specialized in knowledge platforms, and has an advisory board chaired by José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero. This is highlighted on the Gates Center website, which also notes that Feng Yishang is the president of Center Asia entity. That's why there's this connection, this tie to China. And here you have then heads specialized in platforms. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez received the president of the think tank lobby just 3 weeks before the Plus Ultra case broke out. Center entity Daniel Romero Abreu, who was precisely the person who is being pointed out by Rodriguez as the one presiding over the entity, according to the analysis, who is currently under investigation for having paid 1.2 million euros to Heads, an analysis entity of Luis Rodriguez Zapatero, and also to the company of his daughters, Guad de Fab. Pedro Sánchez points out that the entity publishes analyses in Spanish and English. Gates Center is managed by Thinking Heads Zapatero. This Gates Center is managed by Thinking Heads 3 semanas antes de que estallara el caso Plus company. Well, this is the information we revealed in precautionary measures specialized in freedom platforms, and it will surely have a lot of repercussions because there are many ramifications here. With an advisory board chaired by Rodriguez Zapatero. This stands out from all the information that is coming out, and it also publishes its analysis. Advisory board chaired by Rodriguez. Is anyone keeping track of all the information that is coming out in the media? to see if somehow you can follow a lead if something fits. Rodriguez stands out from a thread if something fits. The entity publishes analysis and knowledge. Advisory board chaired by Rodriguez Zapatero. Advisory board chaired by Zapatero. This is Gate. That's all for this episode of Precautionary Measures with Miguel Ángel Perez. I hope you enjoyed it. And if that's the case, you already know you can share the video with whoever you want and leave your comments. You already know that I always read them very carefully, as much as I can, of course. And as I was saying, you can support the community, the Precautionary Measures channel with Miguel Ángel Perez in different ways. For less than €3 a month, you can become a member in the Chosen tier, or for less than €7 a month in the Supreme tier, or contribute financially. Each person can contribute what they can, when they can, through the phone number 627-556-3700, 627-556-370 via Zoom. The most important thing, as I always tell you, is that this information reaches everyone because information is power. See you soon.